Oh my god, I made a mod. Now, don't get too excited, but more on that later in the video. So last week I made a video showing off just how much Stalker GAMMA has peaked lately due to the modding wizards and all their hard work for the past 12 months. You guys had a lot of questions regarding setup, and I wanted to assure you that this can be a lot easier than you might think. I'm going to keep this as layman's terms as possible because I'm actually really bad at understanding a lot of this stuff myself. Definitely feel free to correct me on anything, and yeah, I'm always up for improving my setup too, so let me know. So first things first, all the links will be below and we'll keep this simple. As far as I know, C drive or another is just fine, just not external, so I'm going to be using my D drive, make an anomaly folder and a gamma folder, then go over to your privacy settings and add those two folders to your exclusions so we don't get any antivirus hiccups. Next, download the latest anomaly, gamma and gamma launcher and 7-zip to extract the files. I just use the official mod page for anomaly instead of the torrents, and for gamma I just use the media file links from gamma's Discord, but you do you. Once downloaded, you'll extract via your new 7-zip app. Windows 11 guys, it's under more options and then extract file. Make sure this box is not ticked, then click here, find your SSD with your anomaly folder, hit OK and OK. For gamma, hit RC3 and then the same process and OK. Don't touch the third one yet, let them download. Okay, so now that's installed, once these have downloaded, it's time to extract the launcher. Same as before, but this time we're going to go to gamma, Grox installer and hit OK. Yes to all. Now go to anomaly folder and launch anomaly so they can create some files that gamma needs. Once you're in there, quick, go back to Grox modpack installer, right click and run as administrator. Now hit first, install initialization, the top one. Hit OK to this, it's fine, don't worry about it. Hit browse, highlight anomaly folder, select the folder and hit OK to this. OK. Hit do nothing, close the mod loader and hit install, update gamma. Now hit play. And now you can check the number of mods you have on the mod organizer is the same as the gamma Discord here. If not, go back to gamma, uncheck for zip extraction and hit update again. This is how you'll update in the future too, for when like any big updates come out or anything like that. Also, if you plan on using Reshade, just untick delete Reshade DLL in the launcher and run as an update. It's disabled by default. And then yeah, jump in. Sweet, first step done. Now, what you want to do is you want to jump back into the Gamma Discord and start getting familiar. So this is going to be your main hub for new mods that are not even out yet on ModDB. Plus, there's a lot of ways that you can set up your game with different shaders, weapon packs, all kinds of stuff that people are always coming up with in here. They're updating the mods, putting stuff up for testing. So make sure to be checking here, and you can even add your screenshots, get involved in all that. It's fun. For example, Kmacks stuff is all here too that we were showcasing last video, and there's some others as well, so get familiar with this and get to know where to ask questions if you're stuck or if you're just looking for something. So before you do anything, click up here and make yourself another copy of the mod list so you can go back for reference later down the line. Basically just to kind of see what you might have turned off when you shouldn't have turned off. So you can get mods from either ModDB in the add-on section of Anomaly or from Gamma Discord. There'll also be links to all the mods that I use either in the description or on my Discord. Make sure you actually do read the install guide though, because these things change over time, and if you're installing mods, make sure it works with Gamma if that's what you're going on. I mean, I'm assuming you are by this point. The reason for this is there might be one or two mods that you need to turn off to use that new mod properly. You also need to pay attention to the mod order. Basically, the concept of this is you want the mods you really do not want to overwrite towards the bottom, taking priority. Now you can check for conflicts. Now this doesn't mean something will break, but keep in mind if it doesn't work right away, then check this to see what it's conflicting with. Be careful what you start turning off though. Again, read the mod page properly. It's almost always explained in there what to do. Also be sure to check the comment section, as some updates or other people fixing their issues can be found there. That saved me quite a few times. So to add a mod, it's most of the time pretty simple. Let's add a rival, as it's a big juicy one, and you want to make sure it works before you start adding more. Now what I like to do is have a little run around 15 minutes, make sure it's all working good, in between any bigger mods like Arrival, Toxic Zone and KVMA. Also, this is where you want to start changing some basic keybinds probably. Start getting a feel for it, but there'll be a much more in-depth kind of guide on keybinds later in the video, so don't get carried away just yet because we've got more mods to add. Now we're going to add KVMA for character models. Drunk's Enhanced Toxic Air. And now for your texture pack, Rotten Life and Nitpicker with Kmacks ground textures. Make sure to choose what you want. Well, I use all of these. Just look at all this work, man. It's ridiculous. This is where your game's going to start really changing its look and feel. Make sure to pick the correct textures for your PC rig as well. I run it all on the highest K res on a 3080 to give you kind of like a reference, but you can always reinstall at a lower resolution if you have an issue after the install. This is why you should test them with each install, really. Now for the grass, you can use the default Gamma ones, Aiden's, and they look absolutely incredible. They're the ones also Custer uses if you're wondering which one he uses, and you can even go to them in the mod organizer, right click on each one of these and reinstall with a different season, if that's what you want to do. Now I like me some autumn, but that's up to you. I'm actually running the Seacon grass right now, and that's just a process of installing each mod and then ticking what season you want. The link again, below or in the Discord for that one. And so on and so on, and this is what we keep doing for each mod. All the link to the mods will be in my Discord along with a picture of these for reference. I'll update this every so often as I iron things out and add more to it, so keep checking there for any updates. Okay, so Stalker, in my opinion, shouldn't really be gatekept. It's kind of up to you how you play this game. It's your game, it's your life, do what the fuck you want. Having said that, if you're into immersion like I am, I'm going to urge you to try and drop that band-aid and get used to some new coping mechanics that in a short time you'll be just as capable with, but with much more immersion. We're going no hood. Eventually, I'd like to make a mod that contains all my settings and some extra mods I'm making into one package that are just tiny tweaks. They're nothing crazy, but I think together, for my style of play and what I like to do, it kind of makes a big difference, but more on that later in the video. It should be simple, but it's not. So you want to turn off these mods in Mod Organizer to get rid of the icons like radiation as well as NPC identification. Then go into your MCM settings and make sure all this is turned off. And anything related to HUD basically. Same with the toxic zone one as well. You got to make sure that's turned off, otherwise you get a little respirator sign up. Don't worry, the big metro noise goes off when it's low. Now if you do want to customize your HUD and not lose it all like me, check out DynaHUD for some really cool ways to mix that up. I'll leave a link below for that as well. But how do we survive without any way of telling what's going on with our body? Well, so you have to pay attention more to your environment and what's happening to you. To be honest, I usually know like when I need to eat, when I need to drink, what meds to apply, and how much damage I've taken, and if I've got too radiated, and roughly when I need to take a break to do some admin around a fire and light a smoke. I don't know if you can even count this as a mod, but I am. It turns this shit off basically. If you want it, it's in the Discord. Once installed, go into MCM settings and turn up your player hit sounds so you can hear this thud when you take a round rather than being blindfolded by this thing when you get hit. So this will be the first of a few small changes I try and make because I think it's cool to learn new things. I wouldn't be able to even know how to do this though if it wasn't for the help of modders like Kmacks. Speaking of Kmacks, look at this, he's kindly let me show you early. So now we've got this sick rifle, let's start with these immersive keybinds and weapon positions. This is my basic keybinds that I think are much smoother than the default ones, but it's up to you. I remap my mouse as well on the buttons with the little Logitech shift thing to have more options on the fly and for a smoother experience, but that's obviously mouse dependent. By the way, Logitech, you owe me sponsor money for that, absolutely. That'll be 10 grand. So, you guys have seen that I've got this high ready thing going on, and you've asked me how I do it. So what I do is I turn this on in MCM for toggle for tilt, but you also need to change these values so that the tilt comes up where you want it. This, however, is not the best way, as it now affects every weapon that you pick up, and some have lower tilt, so it just disappears. So let's get this mod, and from here, you can now press F6, adjust to your liking, badass up close or further away to see the weapon, then save those settings to your clipboard, pull up this part of the mod, Control V, and then save, and now this will save those settings for that weapon. I will be making a mod for this at some point, maybe for all the weapons, I'm not too sure yet, so you can kind of use them all the same way I use them. But what about this lean? Well, it's actually pretty simple. You just go into the settings and into immersion and turn them both right up. From here, you now have a sick high ready, a sick lean. Clearing buildings just got a lot more badass. But if you want some extra cool guy lean, so let's not get lost in the science and just try and fix this the best way we can. Now, if you go to Task Manager, you can actually set the exe to the priority high and affinity, whatever that means, turn off to core 0. So apparently this uses more cores or something. You want to close all other apps like Discord and see if that helps. You can also change to borderless mode from full screen. That seems to make a difference for a lot of people. I will say though, after doing all these steps, it is actually better. So maybe try that. Maybe one of them will work for you. So we hit that button earlier and did the update, so we have Reshade now. Before we jump in though, let's say you just downloaded one of my Reshades or someone else's Reshade, whatever, and you want to install it. As simple as finding this folder here and then just dropping it in. Same goes for if you make a Reshade and want to share it, just copy this file and send it over for the boys to laugh at, your underwater masterpiece. So with one of my Reshades, I'm going to show you a few things to change up your experience a little without breaking stuff too much, as I always get similar questions on how to just do a few things. So you want to hit this on the way in, and then when you load up, and then you hit F7. We can go incognito, so nobody can see us. We can get rich, so we can fast travel easily without having to change the settings. We can also go guard mode, unlimited ammo, although this is a bit of annoying with the mags redux, because you still got to load your mags. And the weather editor. Now that's going to be a big one for us. We're going to use that quite a lot for the Reshade. And there we go. And then that will just spawn in your inventory. So just make sure you check tools for extra items, because they can end up in here as well, as you can see. Okay, let's see what else we can do. So if you hit the tilde key, that top left one under escape, right, and then we go DEM, and you'll see demo record. Hit enter, hit 0, so it doesn't record anything, but it does give us. Hit enter again, and now here we are, ready, and that's the debug menu in its very basic form. I actually like to start with a weather setting I use quite a lot, so that's rain 1. You don't want to touch any of this, and then you just hit play, and then here we are. Your home key. Here we go. That's how you get your menu up. Now from here, first thing I'd do is go to settings, and I change this to the end key. That's that folder that I showed you before. Now the overwrite one, you've got to click this, and then your saved ones that we save later will be in here. So let's hit end. And that's the Reshade on. It's very aggressive. Underwater, mate. Is we're going to start adjusting. So that's how you do it. You right click and then you put in the key that you want. And that's going to be important for when we try and cross-reference them. And you'll know it's off because you'll see this thing. That's important so you can go back from your last setting that you changed. So we click the plus sign. Inherit current preset. We're just going to put it in. What you can also do in settings from here is then you can also turn your FPS off. Right, and what we're going to start with is some things that screen space shaders is already doing, and things that they just cost too much in my opinion. Because basically the less of these that you've got going, the better, because it's going to cost you less frames. If I was making a LUT, I wouldn't even have these on. But for this, we're going to be making a Reshade so you guys can play with this yourselves. That's the idea behind it, and then I'm going to make a LUT. Because as you can see, it's quite strong, right? When we click it, we'll see it appear. The Luma is basically brightness, contrast and all that they've put into their LUT. We're going to use those adjustments because they're quite nice in some ways. I'm a big believer in less is more, so once I start seeing that colour palette come in, that's where I'm going to kind of stop. I'm going to stop a bit short of being too much. It's looking a bit more subtle now. And another suggestion as well is you want to take your mask off for this, to be honest. What we want to do is we're going to check that now. And are we getting much, if anything, now in here? That's the thing. On. It's like having your bloody eye test done. Off. Number 1. Or number 2. Now I like this because we're starting to get some blues into the shadows, but if we add that look further, right, it's going to destroy the image. It's going to just look too much. But let's say we want more blues in the shadows. Well, there's a couple of ways we can do that. And like I said before, we want to try and do everything in one, but I go against my own rules on this. I love this tool. And again, when you turn something on, just reset it to default. Now we're going to hit active to top again. So we make a big adjustment, reset to default. Now be careful with this, because if you're changing someone else's reshade and they've set it here, when you hit reset to default, it's going to go back to 0. Even if it was here that they set it and you moved it here, it'll go there, and that's a nightmare. A little bit of blue into the shadows. Now, there's 2 ways you can do this. This just washes everything out. So the way I like to do it is actually just put a tint, hits the shadows that bit more, and it just gives that little blue pop. I love this selective colour because you can do so much with it. I know that this is mostly yellow and greens. So if we come to here, rather than turning the saturation down here, because like, oh, it's too colourful. Really, what it might be is just one of the colours is popping too much. That's what we're going to start doing, just chipping away at these little changes as we come around the map. So we're going to change the time of day now. We're going to start seeing what it looks like of a night. Now I just want that to pop that little bit more. And like I say, these are micro adjustments, but they're going to make a big difference at the end. Now personally, I wouldn't change any of the in-game settings either, like your brightness, saturation and contrast, because that's just going to fuck with you. Don't like too much magenta coming through. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start coming and messing with the gamma settings now, so that we can start seeing these puddles and seeing how they kind of pop. It's not looking bad. I actually quite like that. In ambient light, there's something else to pay attention to as well here. The intensity is always quite high with the Badlands preset, so I just turn it down a little bit, but it's at least going in the right direction right now. Now, if we turn depth of field back on, the depth of field's now changed, and you can only focus on what's close to you. So if we come up to like something like this, say, and then lean around the corner, you get that really cool depth of field. You like your sunrises and sunsets, that kind of thing. And that your colours aren't getting all messed up from it. So let's have a look. Without and with. So we've not destroyed too much, but we've still managed to get that blue in the shadows. And like I say, this game is gorgeous without a reshade. So we don't want to do too much. We definitely don't want to destroy the beautiful weather just because we want to change like the darker weather. We might have overdone it a little bit in the shadows because it's a little bit washed out now. So let's take a quick look at that. Let's come in here. Maybe we just need to turn this down just a little bit. Okay, I think I can actually see what's doing this. You see the bloom, these circles and stuff. They start making things look washed out if it's too much. And that's in here. So let's turn that down a little bit. And that's how you get your circles to pop. Let's make sure we're getting some nice sun still come through and it's not getting destroyed. Yeah, now we're getting that deeper, darker blue in the water that we want. I really don't like too much red coming through. It's going to affect the fire and stuff like that, so we just need to be careful with that, but I know for a fact I don't want that in there too much. And now let's come into the shadow and highlights, because what we can do now is we can create this third colour like a split tone with a green. We just want it to come through a tiny bit, because we really don't want to lose too much in that sun, but it's going to be absolutely tiny, and all it's going to do is it's just going to take that pink out of the sky. I think we just need to turn the vibrancy down a little bit. And it's kind of cool because it's got a bit of a matrix look to it. Okay, so we've still got it really nice and blue, and you know we've still got the sun coming through quite nicely. Okay, so it's not perfect. Let's go foggy free, because this is another big test if you've overdone the whites. Oh, okay. Strange. Let's say you get this reshade now, because this is what I'm going to make available. It's not perfect. The interior is not great either, so you might need to fuck around with that. But let's say we're here now and you're just thinking, do you know what, it's just too blue for me. It's just too much of that. And what you can do is go to LUT, like we showed before, and that's where you can just adjust that. So let's say you really like it and you're like, do you know what, I want to go overboard with that. Turn it right up. It's a very simple one. Is I come in here and the midtones, so you can just chuck a bit of orange into it, evens all this out and all this. And it's not too bad inside either. We've not completely destroyed it. Yeah, I'm actually quite happy with that, considering I just completely rushed that. I mean, I guess I have made it 25 times. Okay, so I thought, why not show you a really simple way so you can understand kind of how these mods work. It's a very simple thing, but it might help you understand stuff a bit more. I dug around the Gamma UI and HUD mods by right-clicking and opening the Explorer, then searched until I found this, the hit marker. Then I copied this into my desktop, opened it up in Photoshop, or you can use whatever app that will also support exporting in this same DSS file. I edited this and then stuck it inside a folder like this. Did the same folder path that the original ones live in, and then uploaded all this to ModLoader, and because it's a high priority, it's overwriting the original. This might not always work, but it worked for this, and it gives you an idea of the small things you can do that don't require a PhD in coding. I mean, I have nothing on the wizards that are doing all the big stuff. This is the most simple thing that anybody can do, but I'm proud of it, something new. I also did this for a lean mod, so we can actually get even more of a lean. If you can't be asked doing any of that though, which I don't blame you, both the lean and the no HUD mod will be in the Discord. So, I was going to run through the graphics settings with you, but the man himself, Hippo, the creator of Atmospherics, kindly actually went through all the settings with me, and it turned into a much more thorough, detailed bit of footage. It's actually really cool, but it would mean this video is like another 20 minutes long, and I've got to cut it all up. So, I'm going to release that in a few days, and I kind of want to get this out because I said it'd be out last week. As a rough guide, if you go into the settings, all of your screen space shaders to default, you're already making a very good start. That is actually Hippo's settings that is best to run Atmospherics with screen space shaders. And he also ran through a couple of input settings that are really cool. So that's going to be out in a couple of days, and I'll leave a link here once it is up. There's a lot going on with Gamma, but it's not as daunting as you might think, like I did at first glance. And hopefully, all this together will give you a good understanding going forward. Just as a reminder though, this is like a passion project for a lot of the modders that do this, and you know, they're living a life too. They got jobs, they got kids, whatever. So just keep that in mind if they're not getting back to you within like 10 seconds. You know what I mean? Just don't be a dick basically. They're doing it for free. You know what I mean? We get all this for free.